Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a documentary from New Zealand, English language, released in the year 2022, directed by David Farrier, and this film is called Mr. Organ. So Mr. Organ is about a story that David Farrier read quite a while ago about a woman who owned an antique store, and at the front of the antique store was a public car park, and she wanted to use this car park as a private one. She wanted to have it customers only, but unfortunately for her, random people were parking here. So this infuriated her to the point where she got help from a friend to clamp these tyres that she deemed as trespassers. In order to get the tyres unclamped, it cost upward of $800. So this infuriated the public in New Zealand, and it created a media storm. But then all of a sudden, this dropped off the face of the earth. This woman basically closed the shop and was never heard of again. And so David Farrier wanted to do an investigative sort of piece on this and track down this woman and actually find out who this mysterious friend was, because this friend actually built a reputation for himself as doing things he really shouldn't have. And so this has intrigued the director enough to actually want to go and seek the truth, but the closer he gets to the truth, the more he starts to pass the point of no return. So what that point is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thought on Mr. Organ. This is a first experience for me for David Farrier. Now, David Farrier has actually been compared to Louis Theroux, and that's a massive thing to say, because Louis Theroux is one of the best documentarians out there. He's my favourite documentarian. So to say that he is up there with Louis Theroux is definitely going to be an intriguing point for a lot of people. And so he made a movie called Tickled. Tickled was a film about a website that featured a tickling contest that seemed harmless enough to start with, but the more the movie goes on, the more sinister things start to get. And that actually got a lot of accolades. I haven't actually seen that film, but a lot of people are saying how good it was, and this is what really set David Farrier up. And so coming into Mr. Organ, his follow-up movie, this was a fresh experience for me. So I was going to give this movie every opportunity to impress me, but I really wasn't quite sure what to expect. When I saw the trailer, I thought, alright, it seems interesting, but being a documentary, you really can't take too many creative liberties. And so was this going to be more of a true crime sort of film as opposed to an entertaining film, or was this going to be something else? And so having my fingers crossed that this is a film that would deliver, what did David Farrier have in store for me, and whether or not this was going to be something that I would be excited about recommending to everyone out there. And after watching Mr. Organ, I will say that this is one of the most utterly terrifying experiences that I've had in a very, very long time, and I would absolutely highly recommend this film to anyone out there, especially if you like your documentaries, and especially if you like films by Louis Theroux. Now, Louis Theroux has been known to make some very disturbing experiences, and David Farrier has delivered a very, very disturbing experience in this film. This is a film about Mr. Organ. Mr. Organ is a complete psychopath. He's a leech. He's a parasite. He basically latches onto people, takes everything away from them, and goes on to his next victim. And he doesn't really think twice about it, and he will never stop until he gets what he wants. He's very, very persistent to a level that actually becomes very, very scary. And this is scarier because this is reality. You can't disconnect yourself from this situation. I know people like Mr. Organ, not quite as extreme as this individual, but people that will have something on their mind and they will never let it go until that is achieved, whether it's getting revenge on someone or whether it's basically destroying someone. This is something that these people do, and they will not stop. And so having a real life sort of monster like this was what created that really uncomfortable experience that David Farrier was actually going for, and I felt as though he really nailed it. This is a film where it is very entertaining at the same time as very scary. There is a lot of deadpan sort of humour to alleviate all the pressure that the movie really creates, and so it's trying to give you the energy to actually keep going forward. And I felt as though the comedy there was actually that alleviating pressure, that the ability to actually keep going, because there are stages in this film where the humour really struggles to alleviate it because of how dark the subject matter is. And the further he investigates, the closer he gets to the actual truth, the more sporadic those comedic moments actually occur. And so comedy can only get you so far, and this is a film that actually documents that, because the more it gets to the point of no return, the more serious the situation is, and the more difficulty that humour has to alleviate all of the pressure. And so it's a pressure cooker sort of film, and it's definitely a movie that evolves as the director is interviewing these people that knew Mr. Organ, people who are saying their stories and their personal experiences. It just adds to that monster. It just builds that monster, and it's just gaining in strength as the movie goes on, because You know that he's very, very smart, and he can steer clear of the law because he knows how everything works. And so this is a guy that you would not really want to meet. On the outside he seems friendly enough, but on the inside, when you actually realise what he's all about, this is where panic starts to really set in. So it's a very, very dark experience. There are moments that really, really shock me. There's a quote right at the end of the film that just put a chill down my spine. This is reality. This is something that you can't disconnect yourself from. As I said, there are some moments that really made me laugh, but there were some moments that really shocked me without using violence. It shows that you can make a scary film without having the traditional sort of horror tropes, because this is a movie about a man who just has absolutely no compassion. He doesn't care what he does to other people, and this is what makes it so frightening. If I have issues with this film, it's not an impartial documentary, and it never really suggests it's going to be an impartial documentary. What I mean by that, I like documentaries that don't take sides. It's kind of like a mediator where you can actually feel as though, oh, I want to go on this person's side, or I want to go on that person's side, and it creates discussion that way. Whereas this is a film that was really cut and dry. You knew who the bad guy was, you knew who the good guy was, but that isn't a major criticism, but they're the type of documentaries I go for, and that wasn't this type of documentary, and so that's the only issue I had with this film. But I will say that it's a very entertaining ride. It's a ride that I was so glad I took the time and effort to watch. After seeing this movie, I definitely will go out there and watch Tickled, because Mr. Organ was a documentary that I hadn't seen since the documentaries of Louis Theroux. There are a few really scary Louis Theroux documentaries that I thought really lasted in the memory, and this is a film that's definitely going to last in the memory. So if it sounds like your kind of thing, go out there and see. I'm going to give Mr. Organ 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.